Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Wednesday, January 8th, 2014. I have not addressed this in the last few days, even though I live on the West Coast, and of course this is something I'm thinking about. From InfoWars, 1,400% radiation hotspot found on San Francisco beach. That is pretty extreme, and yesterday, Alex Jones had a guest, Chris Busby, who was talking about this, addressing this topic. And he stated an opinion that just based on the volume of water that released by Fukushima into the volume of water of the Pacific Ocean, that he didn't feel that Fukushima really explained these levels of radiation. So what does? Who knows? Benjamin Fulford had written months ago that nuclear waste was intentionally released at Fukushima to raise the level of radioactivity. So, the Kabbalists are so evil and so mad, really, and I don't mean angry, I mean crazy, that it's, who knows what they might do. We are taking iodine, the nascent iodine that InfoWars sells, and for a long time before that we were taking kelp from near Iceland, kelp tablets that, of course have iodine in them. So it's if you live on the West Coast, you probably want at least to do something. Where you can't help but think about maybe moving away. I don't know if action that extreme is called for or not, but if I will put it this way: if I had small children, I would think very, very seriously of leaving the West Coast. So, of course, God can do anything, and this morning I was reading about Lot, Abraham's nephew, being in Sodom, and how the angels came to take him out, and he did not share the fate of the people there who fell under judgment, and God had even told Abraham that if there were 10 righteous people in that city, he would not destroy it. So, that's a way to pray sometimes. Just ask God, please, for the sake of the righteous people that are living in whatever area, please stay your hand of judgment. But, on the other hand, judgment is cleansing, and sometimes it's a positive thing. So, hear from God and obey Him is probably the best advice I can give. And from Before It's News, 12 signs of extreme social decay in America that are almost too horrible to talk about. Yeah, okay. So we won't talk about them, but you can certainly read about them if you so desire. Here from Zero Hedge, J.P. Morgan, Madoff, and why no one dared ask the cult any serious questions as long as the performance is good. This could be a good segue for a long talk about integrity and how important it is to have integrity. But I won't climb up on a soapbox. This has been on my mind, even dealing with people in the so-called liberty movement, alternative media, just because of the power and the money that the cabal has, and the influence that we've been under for a long time of being manipulated through our fears. If we can try not to have a handle, if we can try to avoid greed and fear, we will be better off. And of course there are other aspects of integrity, but those are really two big snares: greed and fear. And those are the first ways that people often come at us when they are trying to convince us to depart from our principles. So the more aware we are that things are just not right. I mean, here the performance was good, right? So nobody asked any questions. Well, we can't live that way. If we do, it's, we're digging a pit that we ourselves are going to fall into. So just a little heads up why we are where we are, how we got to this point. Here from Tech Dirt is an article, 7 Things You Missed If You Didn't Read Wired's Big Story on How the NSA is Killing the Internet. So I won't go through those 7 points right now, but if you are concerned about this issue and maybe you work in tech, you design websites, whatever, you want to have talking points and just understand what's going on, this article may be helpful to you. From Blacklisted News, National Defense Authorization Act of 2014 authorizes cyber warfare against American citizens. Just a heads up about this. This was recently passed and signed into law by Obama with little, if any, fanfare. That's right, because they know nobody wants this. Nobody is for this, and that was happening at the same time as the Duck Dynasty story. Now, was the Duck Dynasty story intentionally crafted to divert our attention away from this? Who knows? But had we been paying attention, would we have been able to do anything? This is, there's a history in the U.S. corporate government of slipping things through on Christmas Eve, like the Federal Reserve. So they tend to do this. Again, would we have been able to resist it had we all really been on our guard? Probably not. What would we be able to have done? So what we really need is an overhaul of our government, releasing us all from tyranny, and a restoration of the constitutional republic. God, please, may we see it soon, in Jesus' name. So until and unless there's I don't think that, although this has happened to us, we've reached this place incrementally. I don't see us coming out incrementally. I mean, it could happen, but because elections are rigged and so much is rigged, I think we need an overhaul, and we've all heard stories that there are good people who are working on that. So God bless them and protect them and help them. Now, my Flash player has crashed, which is probably a good thing because I can click through these links more quickly. Vitamins, a multi-billion-dollar scam. I was a little disappointed that RT did a video on this, and this report actually came out a while ago. I may have even mentioned it. By a while, I just mean, within the last month and a half. The report is really about multivitamins, and okay, that's really just shooting from the hip. What the report alleges that I think is really a very faulty reasoning is that if you eat the right foods, you will get the nutrients you need. Now that statement could be true, but it makes a lot of assumptions. It assumes that the food that you are getting is nutritious even when you're making good choices. And in many cases, that is simply not true. I had heard, the amount of vitamins in a peach from, I think, the 60s or 70s was like 85% greater. And I'm just drawing from my memory, so that may not be accurate. But the idea behind it is absolutely accurate and true, that our food simply does not contain the nutrients that it used to when soil was properly managed. Now, we don't properly manage soil. We just put in a few chemicals that make the plants have nice green foliage that looks as if they are healthy. Well, sorry, but many times the produce simply does not contain the nutrients that we might believe it does. So pertaining to vitamins, though, it's if we just shoot from the hip and take things without knowing what we're taking, yeah, it probably won't do us a whole lot of good. if you're taking some kind of multivitamin that's raw, that's grown from, cultures that really do produce the nutrients, then great. And you can find those. You just go to a health food store and start to ask a lot of questions. And most health food stores are very happy to help you learn about nutrition. In a kind of related story from Fox News, outbreak of nightmare bacteria in Illinois stirs worry. Why is that related? Well, it's because when we just take things without being conscious and aware of what we're taking, we might be doing ourselves more harm than good. And bacteria has become resistant to many antibiotics because antibiotics have been overprescribed, overtaken. Antibiotics are injected into many of the animals that we eat. So of course these strains emerge. But again, if we are conscious and aware, there are many natural, safe substances that can combat bacteria a lot more effectively than these antibiotics that are becoming overused and that the bacteria are developing resistance to. And I know this video is probably going to get long today, so I'll just mention oil of oregano is something that I have not used, but Alex Jones mentioned in relationship to the mystery bug that his cousin and uncle died of, that he and his family were also ill, but they used oil of oregano successfully to become healthy, to become well. So there's oil of oregano, there's allicin from garlic, and garlic itself, colloidal silver, certainly, and grapefruit seed extract. And of all those, grapefruit seed extract is really not very expensive. And you use it in very tiny amounts. Again, you need to become educated about this. You can't just shoot from the hip. You need to read some material, which you can find if you just do web searches. And anytime there's something that I'm curious about, I have some books that I refer to, but it's really easy to just go to Natural News and search their website for whatever concern you have, you're researching. And there's usually really good answers there. Now shifting into an entirely different topic. From RT, Satanists unveil 7-foot monument they want to erect at Oklahoma Statehouse. And it's a Baphomet statue. I won't linger long on that image. But I just, I would prefer to not have that statue there. But just to frame this a little bit, you may or may not be aware that a lot of the imagery that is on government buildings has mystical origins anyway. I mean, this is, at least they're being honest about Baphomet, and one that I was really aware of, so I did a quick search and found some information, is Minerva. Minerva is on the state seal of California, in many, many other places. And Minerva is the Roman goddess, also known as the Greek goddess Athena. She was the virgin goddess of poetry, medicine, wisdom, commerce, weaving, crafts, magic, and the inventor of music. She is often, according to what many Christians believe about Lucifer, Lucifer was the music guy. So I just want to, have us aware that, yeah, Baphomet we know is evil, but who is this Minerva that's incorporated in so much symbolism, that's on government buildings, government seals, so on and so forth. So Minerva is often depicted with her sacred creature, an owl. Duh, hello? The owl, it's a giant owl that they worship up at the Bohemian Grove. So if we think that this is, this Baphomet statue is something really out of the ordinary, we haven't been paying attention. And let's just check out a few of these. And this website is sodahead.com, and this actually is like, oh, Minerva's cool, but it just shows how this symbolism has permeated our culture, and especially our government buildings, and it means something. It's not just randomly there. Somebody intentionally made these decisions and chose this symbolism. The dollar bill has an owl hidden. It is a symbol of Minerva, a sign of eternal protection. A statue of Minerva stands atop the dome of the Mitchell Library in Glasgow, Scotland. A 7-foot, here it is, what size is the Baphomet statue? Hello. A 7-foot statue of Minerva stands at the highest point in Brooklyn, overlooking New York Harbor, located in Greenwood Cemetery. A bronze statue of Minerva lies in Monument Square in Portland, Maine. Our Lady of Victory's monument, dedicated 1891, Richard Morris Hunt and Franklin Simmons. Here it is. The goddess Minerva is on the top of the U.S. Capitol building. So let's not be hypocrites and be all freaked out about this Baphomet thing. We have been had. People who believe in these ancient gods and goddesses have already put them on, I want to say, virtually all of our government buildings. So moving on. From RT, Pentagon unable to provide records on drone crashes. How convenient. And more tragically, yesterday, U.S. Air Force says one of its Pave Hawk helicopters has crashed in England. And there were 4 people on board, and one has to wonder if this is part of the conflict that we understand is constantly going on. I think it was Benjamin Fulford who said that at top levels of the Pentagon and the CIA, there is a battle raging and people are actually killing each other. So pray for the protection of those who are carrying a burden and trying to bring us an increase in liberty and justice for all. And this is serious stuff. And, how random is it? Yeah, there's probably no direct evidence that we can access that this had anything to do with that. But, why does a helicopter just randomly crash in England? So again, if we can pray for the safety and blessing of the people who are in a struggle for justice and for liberty and for restoration of our constitutional republic, we're probably a lot further ahead. Here is something interesting that I noticed. This caught my eye because I do have an interest in Hollywood. And Roseanne Barr said that, when she goes to parties, people take her aside and thank her for speaking out about some of the things that she has been bold enough to speak out about, pertaining to, basically Hollywood slavery, mind control, manipulation. In this article from Variety, Meryl Streep blasts Walt Disney at National Board of Review dinner. People want to make a hero of Walt Disney, but Bryce Taylor, who was a Project Monarch girl, was taken to Disney for many aspects of her mind control, and Walt Disney was actively involved. He didn't actually take them out and work the SRA on them and cause the trauma, but he was certainly not. He knew about it and he was complicit. So Meryl Streep just kind of said, "Hey, Walt Disney was not a hero," and I find that interesting. Some of these people have really been. We think that their lives are that they walk on red carpets all the time and that streets paved with gold, but many of them have had difficult struggles and been used and abused, and are probably more aware than many of us of the dark side of Hollywood. So I was kind of encouraged to see this come out. Stand with Rand joined the class action lawsuit, and he is suing the NSA. And if you so desire, you can add your name to that class action lawsuit. And I'm going to close today with some positive health news. since we noted some of the negative health news. From Mercy Triumphs, Fritz Springmeier, the glutathione health link. And there's a video that Fritz referenced, which the Adobe Flash plugin has crashed, so we can't see. But I promise you, it is there if you go to the website. There's some good information. It's actually kind of a long video, but it's about a new product. I don't think that Fritz is actually selling this, but if he is, more power to him. Because it looks like a good product, and I think it's great to support Liberty guys by if they have a good product, let's buy it. And as I said, we've been taking the nascent iodine that InfoWars sells. With that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.